Thank you for joining RadSite and our winter webinar series. Today's webinar, RadSite Accreditation Overview, will provide an overview of RadSite as a market leader in imaging accreditation, its current and future standards, and an overview of the accreditation process. The conversation will be moderated by Dr. Bruce Reiner, RadSite's Chief Medical Officer, and will include perspectives from Jonathan Ramirez, RadSite's Director of Sales, and Julie Irons, RadSite's Accreditation Manager. Before we begin today, I'd like to go over just a few housekeeping rules. Today's conversation will be recorded for those who are unable to attend. Once the webinar begins, attendees' phones will be muted, and feel free to submit any comments or questions via the chat box on the lower right side of the portal. I'd like to introduce you to your moderator, Dr. Bruce Reiner. Dr. Reiner is a nationally respected expert in clinical radiology. His research and writing has been focused on quality and safety in medical imaging. And to hand it over, Dr. Reiner, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Brooke. Welcome, everybody. We're really happy to have you today and talk a little bit about RadSite. I want to introduce the two speakers. The primary speakers will be Jonathan Ramirez and Julie Irons. Jonathan serves as a Director of Sales. He's also responsible for general operations, strategic marketing, and establishing key business relationships. And one of the really good things about Jonathan is he's always available and literally interacts with all the new clients. In addition to being excellent at sales, Jonathan also brings a wealth of experience as a licensed technologist. He trained at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, where he got his Bachelor's of Science degree. And he has 10 years of experience with certifications in both radiography as well as CT. Julie serves as RadSite's Manager of Accreditation. She manages all aspects of the applicant's experience, from the initial contact to the application setup, review, and awarding of the accreditation. Just as in the case of Jonathan, you'll literally be interacting with Julie on a regular basis, and she's very reachable and very easy to work with. She manages RadSite's accreditation committee as well, that oversees the review and approval of all applicants. She came to RadSite with a wealth of experience of over 15 years working at URAC, which is a nationally recognized accreditation body. And she earned Health Insurance Association and Healthcare Customer Service Associated credentials through the America's Health Insurance Plan Insurance Education Program. So before I turn it over to Jonathan, I just want to go over really briefly the agenda for today's discussion. We're going to talk about who we are, RadSite. We're going to talk a little bit about the overview of the standards process. We're going to also walk you through our portal, because that's what any potential applicant is actually going to be interfacing with. And hopefully you'll find it's very user-friendly. We're going to highlight some of the application process, and Julie will talk you through the individual steps. And hopefully at the conclusion, we'll basically explain to you why RadSite would be a good company to work with in the accreditation process. So Jonathan, I'm going to introduce you to Jonathan now, who's going to talk a little bit about RadSite.
Thank you, Dr. Reiner. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to go over this slide. So who is RadSite? At the very basic level, RadSite is one of 4 CMS recognized accreditation organizations for advanced diagnostic imaging only. This includes CT, MRI, and nuclear medicine imaging, such as PET or SPECT imaging, or any combination of hybrid imaging. RadSite's mission has been to promote quality standards and safety in medical imaging for both high-tech imaging scanners and cameras and low-tech imaging pieces of equipment such as X-ray, fluoroscopy, ultrasound, and mammography historically. While RadSite does have several accreditation programs in the pipeline today, RadSite accredits advanced diagnostic imaging pieces of equipment currently. So prior to RadSite being CMS recognized in the late quarter of 2013, going back 8 years in 2005, RadSite was spun off from our parent company called HealthHelp, a radiology benefit management organization. In the past, RadSite managed both the RadSite Assessment Program, which was a basic certification program for health plans and networks, such as Humana and US Imaging, which only required the completion of an online questionnaire. This program was renamed to Diagnostic Site. The second application is the MIPPA Accreditation Program, or the MAP, which is a more in-depth accreditation program. And this was designed specifically for CMS requirements and requires submission of sample documents and imaging studies, in addition to a longer questionnaire. Now, due to the level of this information collected, MIPPA Accreditation Program is the equivalent to the ACR and IAC accreditation programs, whereas RAP, or the Diagnostic Site RadSite Assessment Program, is not. In June 2015, these two programs were divided between RadSite and its parent company, HealthHelp, with RadSite now managing only the MAP accreditation program for CMS, and HealthHelp taking over what used to be the RAP certification program and renaming it to Diagnostic Site. The CMS recognition was a milestone for RadSite. This made RadSite one of the 4 CMS recognized accreditation organizations for ADI under the Medicare Improvement for Patients and Providers Act of 2008, otherwise known as MIPPA. In brief, MIPPA requires suppliers of the technical component of advanced diagnostic imaging services to be accredited by a designated accreditation organization in order to receive Medicare reimbursement. This accreditation mandate was effective January 1st of 2012. These requirements do not apply to hospitals or critical access hospitals. However, it does not limit these facilities to become accredited proactively. Under Section 1861D of the MIPPA Act, an ADI supplier is defined as a physician or other practitioner or facility, such as an independent diagnostic testing facility that furnishes the technical component of ADI services. The technical component is defined as all non-physician work performed by an ADI supplier, including administrative and non-physician personnel time and use of ADI equipment and facilities. Section 1834E1B of the Act defines advanced diagnostic imaging procedures as MRI, CT, nuclear medicine imaging, PET or SPECT. ADI procedures do not include X-ray, ultrasound, or fluoroscopy procedures or screening mammography. Lastly, our committee structure is composed of an advisory board, a standards committee, and an accreditation committee. The accreditation committee must all agree unanimously in order to accredit an applying facility. They meet once every month, either the middle of the month or the last of the week, or the last of the month. Next slide, please. Yeah. So because of RadSite's rigorous standards reviewing not only the imaging equipment, but the entire facility and personnel, RadSite is enhancing patient safety. RadSite is doing this by checking that image quality, minimum physics metrics, and radiation dose levels are all within an acceptable minimum. In addition, RadSite is ensuring that qualified personnel are licensed in their respective modalities. Promoting national standards, RadSite is a proponent of quality, education, and safety. And as such, we continue to encourage outpatient imaging centers, physician-owned imaging centers, and larger hospitals-owned imaging centers to become accredited so that patients and private payers are aware that a RadSite accredited facility has met our standards in every facet. As mentioned earlier, hospitals, critical access hospitals, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs are all exempt from accreditation, but not limited. So we also encourage these facilities to become accredited proactively to demonstrate quality. Our goal is not to pass and fail, but rather be a partner and identify areas of improvement and implement a corrective action period for facilities to meet or correct any deficiencies identified in the accreditation process. We also understand that imaging is in constant change and the industry is always evolving. The technology is constantly changing and emerging technologies are being developed. So one of the things that RadSite is devoted to keep up with are these technologies and to make sure as equipment becomes outdated, we're keeping a watchful eye to ensure that we relate that message to our customers. We want everyone to pass, but to pass on a quality and safety standards that are truly exceptional. Making a difference as an accreditation partner, we can help each imaging facilities and each group of imagers to brand themselves as unique within their community, to help them build an exceptional network of imaging facilities. And we believe we can help everyone perform in a higher quality, safer method, and that we're able to present something that is a real benefit to everyone. Next slide, please. As I mentioned in the previous slide, we've been reviewing quality since 2005. RadSite was founded as a basic certification program under its parent company, HealthHelp, in 2005, and has reviewed over 24,000 diagnostic imaging facilities across the U.S. since then. This gives RadSite a decade's worth of experience in the areas of evaluating radiology facilities. RadSite, again, has split off as a separate company dedicated to focusing on the MIPPA Accreditation Program for providers of CT, MR, PET, and SPECT. And RadSite evaluates the clear image of your whole facility by breaking it into three main components, and that is policies, personnel, and equipment. Next slide, please. Okay, so every applicant is assigned their own account manager, so that if you have a question, you can reach out to your specific account manager who is familiar with you and your facility. This means you don't have to wait around and hold in a call center or explain your questions to a new person each time you call. Rather than a simple pass-fail process of other accreditation programs, RadSite offers a 30-day corrective action period to give facilities who do not meet standards the first time around a chance to correct their deficiencies and still obtain accreditation. Competitors will often fail an applicant outright and then make them repay a new application fee or resubmission fee if they want to seek reapplication and try again. All applicants are provided with a list of future opportunities for improvement. These include future potential machine upgrades. This allows a facility to begin thinking about how to implement these changes ahead of the rest of the industry and plan ahead for long-term investment improvements, such as new machines. All accreditation programs require an on-site visit at one point during the accreditation cycle, which some companies call an audit. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to break down the standards very quickly here. Again, this is a brief overview. The standards are broken down into 7 sections. Section 1 being the imaging system information, manufacturer, make and model, magnet strength for MRIs, and the number of slices for CT scanners. Standard 3 are licenses and continuing education credits for all personnel in their respective modalities, including CME credits for medical directors. Standard 4 is a reporting structure, job responsibilities, minimum requirements to perform a certain function or job. Standard 5 are policies such as clinical policies, regulatory compliance programs, complaint resolution processes, and storage requirements. Standard 6 is the quality assurance program, patient personnel safety programs, patient confidentiality and financial integrity programs. And lastly, Section 7 is the image quality, physics testing, radiation dose submission, and phantom and clinical studies. Next slide, please. The application process is completely online and consists of a series of questions about the facility overall, the personnel and equipment at the facility. This is easy, quick, straightforward questions and filled out completely online. The document submission process, we require copies of a few key staff credentials, like a copy of the medical license for your medical director, your AART technologist, or ARMRIT technologist, the American Registry of Magnetic Resonance Imaging Technologists. Sample policies and procedures, like a patient safety or equipment maintenance policy. And then we have the image and physics quality. This is the technical component portion of the accreditation. This is used to verify that the equipment is functioning properly. Image quality is evaluated by the submission of sample patient image cases, which include the actual images and the corresponding patient reports. RadSite does require 3 patient case studies for each machine, and an additional 4th if pediatric patients are regularly seen at the facility. In specialty imaging cases, where routine radiology cases are not seen, we do require a minimum of 3 specialty imaging cases. For example, if an imaging center only specializes in extremity, then we will ask for 3 extremity cases and not routine radiology cases. Physics quality is evaluated through phantom images of 5 sets and a copy of the latest annual medical physics report. If this seems like a lot to provide, most of the requirements here are in line with competitors' accreditation program. Next slide, please. As you can see here, we have a workflow in terms of the accreditation process. Once you begin the application, you are assigned the account manager. The account manager is the main point of contact throughout the entire accreditation process. The account manager compiles all the different pieces to ensure that everything is complete, including clerical errors and image uploads. The account manager also blinds the application so that the reviewers have no idea who the applicant is in order to be fair and have no bias. At the center of it all, we have the desktop reviewer, quality data reviewer, image quality reviewer, and physics quality reviewer. These personnel are made up of technologists, radiologists, and physicists. And once all of the scoring has been performed by the reviewers, each score is then summarized and compiled by the account manager and sent to the accreditation committee for approval or failure. This process can take anywhere from 1 to 2 months or 3 to 4 months, depending on when the accreditation committee meets. Next slide, please. So this slide is really about, displaying your quality to your patients. Add a quality seal to your website. A RadSite accredited facility will be listed as an accredited facility on our online directory. This allows an accredited facility to display their accreditation certificate proudly in their waiting room so patients can see your accreditation and feel comfortable that you meet all quality and safety standards. This enables an accredited facility to demonstrate their accreditation to payers also. Announce to private payers that you are quality certified. Some payers are now in certain states requiring and following CMS's lead on accreditation. And if these trends continue, soon accreditation will be required by all payers everywhere. You do stay ahead of the curve. Again, RadSite's educational approach will also help you stay on top of the latest imaging trends, such as upcoming accreditation requirements. Next slide, please. Pricing is pretty much straightforward. We have a specific amount per machine and no additional hidden costs. But RadSite offers many different discount options to bring that cost down even further. And most facilities do qualify for roughly a 10% discount. Next slide. So why RadSite? So I wanted to break it down real easy here. We're very easy to do business with. We're promoting national standards. We're one of 4 CMS recognized accreditation organizations. And we believe we are the most cost-effective solutions without hindering patient safety and quality. And we do have an easy electronic process of accreditation. Next slide. So clinical image requirements are customized for your business. We require an applicant, again, to submit 3 different imaging case studies for each machine, each one from a different body area or exam type, typically a brain, a spine, a soft tissue area, like an abdominal study. If your facility has a particular specialty, we will allow you to submit images according to the most common studies performed at your site. So for example, a neurology center can submit all brain and spine studies of their choosing and does not need to struggle to make or find an abdominal scan that doesn't apply to their business. Our competitors are not always flexible on these requirements, but we want to make sure you are showing us the best part of your work that you do on a regular basis. Some competitors require you to buy their phantom in order to submit physics portion of the application or the technical component, and this could add to extra costs to the accreditation application. We have a list of approved phantoms in our standards that you can use, so you don't have to buy a new one just to go through our application process. We do have an efficient online application. It's completely online. The process eliminates the need for mailing papers, forms, or images via CDs. It's very intuitive, and the forms are very easy to fill out, and the information is saved for the next time you renew with us. And again, we are the lowest price. We want to be your partner in accreditation. We're not just here to pass or fail you. We do want to help. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our portal. It's HIPAA secure and HIPAA compliant. It's very efficient and intuitive with online forms. They're very easy, and it allows you to skip sections that don't apply to you or your facility. The online image upload process is very, very extremely easy. There's no need to mail multiple bulky packages of CDs, no need to download clunky software. You can upload directly from your browser, used for both your clinical patients and physics phantom images. We do have a multi-site efficiency, so a manager overseeing multiple sites can manage all applications with a single login and can reuse pieces of the applications that are the same across the sites. So if you use the same policies and procedures across many different facilities, you only have to upload them once. All RadSite accredited facilities will be listed, excuse me, on the, again, on the online accreditation portal. And with that being said, I'd like to take this time to hand it off to Julie Irons for a review of the online application.
Thank you, Jonathan. Welcome to RadSite's new accreditation portal. This is our second version, so we've learned from our first version, and we're hoping that you'll find this one easier to use. From the landing page, which is here, you can either register as a new user or log in as a returning user. As you can see, if you are registering for the first time, you will need to complete some basic information. You'll get the screen that's on the left, and you can either create your own unique username or use your email as your username. But either way, it will need to be a unique name. We also ask for things just like your phone number and other contact information there, and that gets you registered. Once you're registered, then you'll go to the screen on the right, and that's your actual login. And you'll use either your username or email and the password that you created in order to log in. Once you log in, the first step is to add your facility. All applications are tied to the facility and not the user. Again, when you add an application, we're going to be asking for some basic information on your facility. We do have it in the new portal, the ability to add multiple users to a facility, and therefore you're able to have more than one person in there to be able to help complete the application. Once the facility is added, you will be returned to the user panel where you can actually add the application. To create an application, the first step is to review and approve and execute our MAP agreement and the HIPAA BA agreement. You can see the highlighted blue documents in the text there where you can click on those to download those applications. If you've not seen the agreement already, you will be able to download them and log out at this time in order to review them. And then when you log back in, you'll be able to start where you left off. These two agreements have got to be uploaded in order to start the application. Once they are uploaded, you'll be returned back to the user panel. When you go back to the user panel, you will then click on the application number, and that will allow you to add an image scanner. By clicking, the first step in adding that image scanner is to click on the button to add the image scanner, and then you'll start a process where you'll choose your modality, and then the next step is to choose your manufacturer, and then your model, and lastly, you'll enter in your serial number of the machine, and this information all becomes the name of the system in the portal. So as you can see, this image scanner that we've done as a test is a GE. It's a Logic 2000 Alpha, and you can see the serial number there as well. If you are going to be applying for more than just a single machine, you will click the Add Now button to go through that process again in order to add your next machine for that modality or a new modality. But you'll do that for every machine. All right. Then on the right side, you can see your cart summary, and what it will do is it allows you to know your progress in finalizing the pre-application process, the preliminary process. If you do have a coupon code to get the discount that Jonathan talked about, this is where you'll enter it. And you also have the ability to expedite your review once you submit it, and you can add that payment here as well. When you've completed all of these steps, then you'll click on the checkout button. On the checkout page, you will need to complete the billing information on the left, and then choose if you are making a check or a credit card payment that's highlighted in red. If you choose the check payment, the next screen when you place the order will show your invoice that you can print and save and mail in with your payment. If you choose the credit card option, you will be redirected you will be directed to PayPal, where you can log in with your account or use it as a guest and enter your credit card information. If you are paying by check, you are done this process until the payment is received by RadSite and is approved. Once the payment is approved, you will be notified so that you can log back in and start the application process. If you've made the credit card payment, you automatically are approved and can start the application process. So now that you're approved, you log back in and you get to the user panel, and you'll click on the application number so that you load the next steps of the process. The user panel here shows that you are now in process, and it gives you a timeline, a percentage line at the top. You can see it's green, and as you complete the steps, it will move to get to 100% completed. You can also see here your two agreements and your invoice. So if you need to, you can go back in to get those. And in this case, you can see that the preliminary information is complete and the progress rate is 100%. Now, what you can see at the top of this screen, you'll see little tabs that say preliminary, facility, documents, scanner, studies, and technologist. They coordinate with the list at the bottom, so you have your choice of clicking the buttons at the top or clicking at the bottom. So the first part that you will complete is the facility information. So click on that and it takes you to the facility information. Here you will see the 5 forms that need to be completed for this section. You will click on the title to access the questions that need to be completed. As you go along, the status will change from incomplete to complete, and you'll see the timeline at the top change as well. So now we've finished that, we go back to the user panel and we click on required documents. As you can see, required documents have 3 categories: your professional qualifications, your professional oversight, and your policies and procedures. For professional qualifications, we require your credentialing policy and a copy of your key personnel's license or certifications. The RSO is not applicable to clients who are submitting for an MRI only. But if you're submitting for a CT, PET, SPECT, or a combination, you will need to submit for an RSO. For professional oversight, we require copies of the position's job descriptions. You will note that I already did that one, thank you. And in the last section, we want to see samples of your policies. You may have many more policies, but we're only looking for this sampling. When we come on site, we will look at all of your policies. So once you've completed those, oh, and there is a suggestion. Can you go back a minute? So to complete these, you're going to click on one of them, which will take you to the next screen. And here's where you're going to browse or drag and drop your files. I do suggest as a helpful hint that you, on the previous screen where you see all the lists of the documents, you do a right click and open the screen in a new tab. That way it's just easier to get back and forth between the two versus having to go all the way back again. It just will save you a little bit of time when you're uploading the documents. But once you've added the document, you're going to click on the upload button. And if you need to, you can add another document or remove the one that you uploaded. If you discover, oh, I uploaded the wrong document, you are able to delete just a single document. You can add multiple documents at one time, or you can add them one at a time. When you're finished, like I said, you're going to click that upload button that's highlighted in the red box. Once you've done this for all of the documents, you're going to be able to complete that section and your timeline will move again. The next thing you're going to do is to give us more information on your imaging scanner. So you'll click on that and then click on the name of the imaging scanner in order to get the additional details screen where we'll ask for that. If you are applying for a CT, one of the pieces in this section is going to ask if you're compliant with the XR29 standards, and we will also ask for you to upload a copy of your XR29 certificate here if that is a CMS requirement now. And so we ask for that as well. So the next tab you're going to click on is for your studies uploads. As Jonathan said, all applicants need to upload a minimum of 3 clinical images studies, and if applicable, a pediatric study. Applicants will also upload their phantom images and physics report here. There are 3 steps to uploading your studies. You're going to click on the link in order to get to the image share. And the first step is, of course, choosing your images. The second step is uploading those images. And then the third step is uploading the report. And then you will do this again for each study that you will be uploading. So you're going to be going through the image share at least 4 times to do your 3 clinical images and reports, and then to upload your phantom images and report. And you might do it a 5th time if you're uploading the pediatric study. The last section in the portal is to add your technologist. So when you get here, you'll add the technologist. You'll tell us which of the 4 modalities the technologist can do. In this application, they're only asking for an MRI, but maybe your MRI technologist is also certified for CT. So you would click those that are applicable, add their first name, last name, add the technologist. You'll get the screen showing the technologist has been added. The MRI that's in red will turn green because you've now added a technologist for that modality. But then you'll click on the technologist name and you'll get the next screen, which will ask for additional information on your technologist. Once that's completed, and you've got all the pieces marked as complete, you'll get the final attestation button. And when you click that submit button, you're agreeing that all the information you have uploaded in the application is true to the best of your ability. Once you click it, then you go from in process to pending review, and the application will be locked to you going forward. We'll unlock it throughout the review process if we do need additional information from you. So we hope that this helps get you through the application process. We will be creating a separate tutorial and uploading that into the portal at the beginning so that it'll help you walk you through when you're not listening to us here directly. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. Reiner.
Thanks, Julie. And one thing to add is once you basically begin the accreditation process, Julie will assist you as you go through the online application. So we like to believe that, we're very hands-on and very helpful to the clients to make sure that it's as painless as possible. Lastly, I'd like to kind of share with you our strategic vision as we move forward. While we recognize that the primary goal is for formal accreditation, we also believe that the relationship we'd like to establish with our clientele goes beyond just the accreditation process itself. RadSite would like to create a collaborative relationship, a true partnership of sorts with our clients, with the ultimate goal of achieving a quality ecosystem. Rather than every 3 years, once an accreditation process, we'd like to make this ongoing, create an interactive dialogue, and we recognize that RadSite creates an opportunity not only to be accreditation, but also to assist with education and training of your staff, creation of a client-driven user group, because we realize that the interaction, the opportunities exist not only between RadSite and its customers, but also between the customers themselves. To be able to share experience and be able to share some of the success could be very helpful in terms of improving your quality on an ongoing basis. RadSite also envisions pursuing some clinical research projects, and with that, we'd like to offer the opportunity to share some of our data with you to improve your clinical practice. Next slide. So what we're really looking to do is create an environment of continuous quality improvement. And with that, basically, our goal is to constantly look for creative ways to improve both image quality and patient safety throughout your medical imaging practice. In the near future, RadSite envisions creating some additional services that go beyond accreditation alone, such as real-time image quality consultation, continuous education in radiation and contrast safety, optimization of your imaging protocols, and external peer review. So with that, we'd like to conclude our webinar today, the educational component.
Yeah, we do have a couple of questions that have come in during our webinar. And if any of you want to tackle these, that would be great. One is documentation of dose tracking required? And if so, how many patients are required to be logged?
Could you repeat that question again?
Sure. Is documentation of dose tracking required? And if so, how many patients are required to be logged?
Well, radiation dose tracking is mandated in a number of states. And with that, we basically utilize the reports that are sent in by the customer sites to make sure that the radiation dose is being documented. And our medical physicists on staff will actually review the radiation dose to make sure that it's compliant with the existing standards.
Great, great. We do have a couple more that have come in. And Dr. Reuter, maybe this is another one for you. What happens when an imaging provider applicant does not meet a standard, such as its phantom image, does not meet the technical requirements? Does the imaging provider get a second chance to resubmit those images?
As Jonathan pointed out during his presentation, we have a corrective action period. And instead of just having a simple pass-fail alone, we provide the opportunity for facilities that do not meet these standards on the initial application to be able to correct their deficiencies and still obtain accreditation. So in the event that either the phantom or the medical images were insufficient, the clientele would be given opportunity to submit new images with the hope that those would pass.
We did have a couple of questions come in about CBCT, and I think just right at this point, RadSite does not accredit CBCT, so those aren't some of the questions we'll be addressing right now. Do have a couple others. So why have so many payers recognized RadSite over the past several years?
I'd like to direct that to Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Go ahead. Yep, sorry, I can go ahead and tackle this one. So I believe due to our rigorous standards and the fidelity of our standards in patient quality and education, this is going to be a trend not only in the private payer sector, but also the radiology benefit management organizations. So it is because of the current standards that we have. And I anticipate that we will also release a new set of standards in probably Q3 of 2018 to update our standards to the changing imaging technologies that are emerging right now. So thank you for that question.
And it looks like we've got time for a couple more. So had someone asked if they could volunteer to serve on RadSite Standards or Accreditation Committee, and if so, what is the process to get nominated?
I can answer that question. The process would be to contact RadSite directly. You can either nominate somebody or nominate yourself. We would ask, for some basic information on the person who would like to serve on the committee. to get their background, that sort of thing. You might get a call from one of the committee chairs to have them talk to you ahead of time. But then the process would be, once we agree that the person is a good fit, they would then be submitted to our board of directors or the advisory board for a review and recommendation, and then they would approve it, and you would be invited on.
And just to add, up to recently, we've always encouraged our clients to be active participants in the process, and we've had several committee members actually join us via that route.
Great. And Julie, while I have you, I think this might be a question for you. So is it better to contact RadSite first, or to go ahead and start the online application process on my own from the beginning?
An applicant can do either way, but typically I would suggest an applicant contact RadSite first. They are able to do all the pieces of requesting the standards online and starting the application process. But if they contact RadSite first, they'd be able to talk with Jonathan in order to get those agreements ahead of time and do, their due diligence that way. But they can do however they're most comfortable with. But my suggestion, of course, would be to contact us first.
And because you're very helpful and wonderful to talk to on the phone.
There we go.
So I just have 2 points of clarification.
Sure.
That came up during the course of the webinar. The first is that RadSite is a separate and independent entity from Health Help. While we got our start with Health Help, we're now completely independent. And the second point I'd just like to make is that the audit that basically CMS requires, it is an on-site audit. We will perform the audit on a randomized basis. And while we obviously will be engaged in active educational dialogue with the staff, it will still remain a formal audit.
Okay. Thank you for those clarification points. I think we have answered all the questions we have had come in, but wanted to thank all of you for joining us today and attending this webinar. Hope this discussion provided some insight into RadSite Accreditation Program. Wanted to also share with you the next 2 webinars we have coming. The importance of imaging physics testing on January 23rd, where Dr. Philip Patton, who is RadSite's Chief Physics Officer, will be presenting during that. Also on February 21st, we have Artificial Intelligence in Medical Imaging, which is presented by Dr. Elliot Siegel, who is RadSite's Chief Information Officer and the Chair of the RadSite Standards Committee. Once again, thank you, and we hope to see you on our next webinars. Have a great day.